Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. If this is the first time here, please make sure to subscribe, press the notification button for future video content, and like this video as well. Today I'm going to start with the first series or the first video of several videos I'm going to be posting on digitizing, and I'm going to be covering one of the most basic stitches, which is the running stitch. So we're going to be digitizing a bunny, and then this design is going to be based off a sketch. So I'm going to load the image. I'm using a stitch at artist level 2, but you can do this with a stitch artist level 1 as well. I'm using Embrilliance, as I mentioned in my previous videos, and this is going to be a series of several videos using Embrilliance and digitizing. So the first step, once you open your software, make sure you have the correct size for the hoop. I'm going to be using the Brother SE600 embroidery machine, which uses a 4x4 inches hoop. So my workspace is going to be actually a little less than 4 inches. But what I have here right now, if you look at the bottom right corner of the screen, is 9 by 8 inches because that's the previous hoop that I was using for another design on the commercial embroidery machine. So I'm going to change that. To go ahead and do that, you're going to go ahead right here in this yellow folder, which is the preference window. Click on that, and the first option you'll see on the left side is the hoop. So make sure you find your the correct size of the hoop you're using. I'm using the Brother SE600, so I'm going to go ahead and select that and press OK. So now my hoop is the correct size. If you want to bring this back to cover the entire portion of the screen, go ahead on the main bar menu, go to where it says zoom, and press where it says hoop. That will bring the whole work area to the maximum area of your monitor that the monitor can cover. So now let's go ahead and bring the image that we're trying to digitize, or the design. So to do that, make sure you are in the create mode. I am right now in create mode. This is right here, the option on the top. You'll be able to see the stitches and the drawing tools and so on. But we're interested in bringing an image. You can also use a vector file, like an SVG file. But today I'm just going to be using a sketch of a drawing that I did early. So press where it says image, and then just select, search for your image, and then click where it says open. So right now this design is covering, it's actually not, if you notice, each one of these square right here represents 1 inch. So that's 4 and 4, 4 by 4. So I want to make the design a little bigger. So I click on the design, or you can just go ahead here on the top where it shows the arrow, and then click on the image. And then once you do that, you can, if you look at the left corner here, right here says millimeter and inches. I'm gonna make sure that it's in inches, and I'm gonna increase that, I don't know, to, let's say 5 in height, and then press enter. Oh, sorry, let's select the image again. Now let's press again 5 and enter, and the image will increase. You can do that using that section right there, that box, or you can just extend the design by clicking on the corner and then just extend it. So I'm gonna leave it the way it is right now. I'm just gonna make sure that I bring it back to the hoop, to the side, so that's correct. And then I made some notes here before we start digitizing. I just wanted to have the rules first, so you kind of understand what's going to happen. So we always going to start from now on. We're going to digitize in a scale of 1 to 6, and I show you how to change that. If you go right here where it says zoom, there's different scales here. 1 to 1 is the scale we're right now. Then we have the 3 to 1, 6 to 1, and then but the reason why we want to do a scale of 6 to 1 is because we want to be consistent with the spacing that we put in the stitches that we are putting. We don't want the design to be too dense. So if we don't do that, and I probably will give you a quick example when we start digitizing, but when we are in a scale of 6 to 1, if we let's go ahead and convert that to 6 to 1, and then what I'm gonna do is right here I'm gonna change to where it says millimeters. And if you notice right here on the very top, you see you have a -1, then 0, and then 1. So between 0 and the 1 here, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 divisions, right? So if this is 1, so each one of these divisions here represents 1 millimeter. And this is actually pretty good because they give you a reference to when you are adding those stitches or those points, how far apart those are. I will show you when we start doing the design why this is important to keep a consistent spacing. And then also, you don't want to be too detailed and putting too many stitches, because then it's going to be a dense design that could potentially cause issues, poking through the fabric, putting holes through the fabric. So you don't want to do that. So the other thing that I wanted to show is if you, and anytime you want to navigate through the window, you can use right here the compass, which is the navigation hub. So you click on that, and then you can at any moment move to wherever you need to go. So that's one option. You can also, I'm using a Mac computer, I think this works in Windows as well. If you press the space on the keyboard, you see now that the arrow changed to a hand when you press the space, press and hold, and then with the left click on the mouse, you can go ahead and move to wherever you need to move. So that's another option to move in any space that you need to. So the scale is going to be 1 to 6. We're going to be using a running stitch. If you go again to create mode, the running stitch will be this one right here. It says run. And then and the rules that I wanted to show you are going to be the following. So we don't want to go under 1.5 millimeters in space for the length of the stitch, because if the stitch is too close together to one another, then of course that's going to be, depending on the fabric, that's going to be and how many points you put in a corner or in a specific part of the design, that could cause a lot of issues. So we're going to try to stay above that. So and another rule of thumb is like if it's a wearable, if it's a t-shirt, if it's something that you wear, you want to stay at a maximum of, it's between 5 and 7 millimeters. If it's a non-wearable, if you're doing patches, or if it's something else that you don't, it's not clothes or something else, then you're going to stay between 7 and 12.1. Anything over 12.1 millimeters, the machine, or most embroidery machine, will automatically activate the trim option on your machine, and then of course you're going to have a trim at that point. So we're not going to go over that. Plus you don't want to be at a space that is 12.1, because the gap or the space in between the stitches is going to be so long that if it's a t-shirt or something that you're wearing, you could potentially cut, it's not gonna work, because you're gonna have the stitches too long, and it's gonna get caught with anything that is around, and it's gonna break the design of the stitches. So let's go ahead and start doing the digitizing. This is the part that I wanted to show today. So based on those rules, so it doesn't matter where you start, but try to think, because when you're digitizing, you kind of want to have a plan of what you want to do. So I want to briefly give you an idea. We're going to be doing a sketching or a sketch of this bunny. So basically, I'm just gonna not try to put too many stitches because I wanted to show you how the design is gonna look here on the screen, and how the design is actually gonna look when we saw it in the using the Brother SE600. So you're gonna all the time you're gonna see differences of what you see on the screen is not exactly what you're gonna get on the sewing. So that's why it's a good practice to always do the design, stitch it out, and see how that looks like. Make corrections if needed. So let's start doing the digitizing, and to do that we're going to use two tools. The first one is in the drawing panel, and it's going to be drawing or draw with points, okay? And then the second one is going to be, as I mentioned, the running stitch, which is right here under the stitch panel. So go ahead and press on that. if you notice on the right side corner of the window, you have the property section here that shows you the color and it shows you the type of a stitch. So right now it's showing a single running stitch. You can do double, and you have several other options, but we're gonna go ahead and stay with the single. And the length, if you remember, we're not gonna go under 1.5. So 2.5, most embroidery software, that is like a standard. It works for most of the fabric. So let's go ahead and leave at 2.5 for now. I don't think we need to change it. Excuse me. And then at this point, we're ready to start digitizing. So before we start tracing this image, I wanted to show you one more thing. On the Mac computer, and I believe on Windows it's the same, if you notice right now, there is a circle, okay? So if you click, let's say click here, that's a first point, click and click, you see how it's creating a curve? Okay, now if you press the control, that circle is gonna change now, right? And then you're gonna have straight lines. So you need to understand when you need to have a curve and when you need to have a straight line, so that way you have the correct, you're using the tools the way you need it for the correct job. So once again, if you don't press anything and you just start adding points, you're gonna have a curve option, right? You're gonna start creating curve. But if you press the control, that means that you're gonna have straight lines. So straight lines, you need to press the control key on the keyboard. There's gonna be also sometimes when you have sharp edges, like like for instance on a triangle or a star. When you have those edges that come at different angles, for instance, like if you have this, I'm gonna press the control because I want to show you the line. If you have this inclination line coming in at a certain angle, right, with respect to this line right here, and then you have another one like this, let's see, like this, and then you want to close this figure, this shape. So right here, right, you have a sharp edge that is coming with two different lines at different angles. So when you have this type of a scenario, you want to, when you're going from this line to this, you have to press the shift because it allows the machine to understand that it's going to be an edge with lines that are coming from different angles. That has a term, I think it's called a cos. I had to review, I think it's called a cos or something like that. So basically, let's do this again. So let's press enter. We created that stitch, but we don't need it right now, so let's erase it. And then if I press again on the draw with point and then running stitch, I have again, I'm gonna draw a line here and then another, but this time I'm pressing the shift, right? I'm pressing the shift and I'm pressing down and then I'm closing the figure and then press right click or enter. So you probably can see it here, and this is probably going to be an exercise you need to do, and you can compare what the difference is. But by doing that, by pressing the shift in these edges that are coming at two different angles, you are guaranteed that the sewing is going to be perfectly smooth in the edges. You're going to have an actual sharp edge instead of a round or a square or something that has no precise shape. So we will cover that when we get to the point where we need to use the feature, but I just wanted to mention those things. So just to recap, if you want to create a curve, you just click and it create a curve. If you want a straight line, you press and hold the control while you're pressing on the mouse, the click, and that will create a straight line. If you have sharp corners that are coming at different angles, then you want to use the shift key. Okay, so let's go ahead and start the digitizing. Let's press the drawing with points and the running stitch. We have a 2.5 color. It doesn't matter, but I want to do it black this time, so you can press double click where it shows the color here, and you can just type You can do it by name, so let's go ahead, or you can do the color if you know the brand or the number. Let's just type black and press go. That doesn't look like black, so let's select for now that one. It's like chocolate, like maybe like a brown. Excuse me. And then let's start digitizing. So I want to do most of this sketching part. I want to do with a straight line, so I'm gonna press and hold the control key for almost the entire design. And I want to make sure that my spacing in between is no more than 2.5 millimeters. As I mentioned, if you see these little squares here, each one represents 1 millimeter, so you kind of have an idea of what the distance is going to be. And also make sure that you are at a scale of 6:1. All right, and then let's start doing the design. So press Control, and I'm going to start right here. So if you notice, the points that I'm doing are straight lines, right? And then look at the distance as well. So what you want to do is you want to add as points not too close together, but in a way that it will show these details of the design. So the parts on the drawing that I highlighted in black, that means that you need to put more stitches in that section, right? This one, for instance, right here, I will probably just go one pass and then come back again here, no more than that, and then you can go ahead and continue on this as well. So, and then you can also change the direction of the stitches if you need to. So right now we're just adding point, but keep in mind that these points are going to be stitches, and then you can also change the property of those. I'm going to just do one pass on this section right here. All right, and then the same thing here. So if you notice, this section is also highlighted. It's a little darker, so I want to make sure that I have a little more stitches here. So we have the contrast between, you know, the sections that don't have it. Sorry, the sections that are like light color. This is giving kind of like an effect of a shade. Okay, and then I think I finished most of that detail. I'm not gonna do the outer yet. I'm gonna leave that last. I'm just gonna go ahead and come to this side and do the same thing here. So I'm just gonna add points. Just remember to keep the control key pressed while you're doing this. If you notice, I'm trying to go, there's not a specific direction that I'm following. I'm just trying to just put some points around this area. All right, and then I'm gonna go ahead and go up, come back down here so I can get the shape of this part of the ear, and then do the opposite side right here. This will be like the shading part where, you know, you can go all the way to the top and then just start adding points here. And like I mentioned, you don't have to be too precise here. One thing you can do to simulate kind of like the hair on the rabbit is you can come out of the design a little bit, so have those edges. Don't worry about the part that I mentioned before, pressing the shape in the corners, because this is not gonna be a detailed work. This is just a sketching, so we're not concerned on how those stitches are gonna come out here, but we are concerned with the spacing. You don't want to be too intense, stitch intense, and put, you know, holes through the fabric. So just do some details here, and then I think we're almost pretty much done. You can come back down. We should probably finish the ears right now. So to do that, I will go ahead and go around the edges. I'm just gonna go in this direction again. Just stay with the control key press. If you notice, there is a green and a red button square right here. So the green is where the stitch is gonna start, and the red is where it's gonna end. So I will show you when we finish with the design. We want to make sure we start and we finish at the same point for this design. Otherwise, we're gonna have jumps and trims and all that. So let's go around the design one time. And if you look at the spacing, I'm probably having about 2 millimeters space in between. Let me just do something here very quick and just come back here. And then come back this way. And then the outer of this section of the ear. You can even add a little more detail here if you need to. And then continue back down. Alright, so you can come back. Actually, okay, so if you need to, let's say you made a mistake, release the control key and press the delete button. So you see the red how it's going back. So at any moment you can reverse any points that you did if that wasn't what you needed to do. So press the control key again and let's continue. I'm gonna go, instead of that, I'm gonna go to the right side and I'm gonna start digitizing the eye. So I'm gonna go in a circle in this eye because I want to make sure that it's, has some circumference shape. So release the control, go around. You see how it's making a nice curve. And then I'm gonna go ahead and put a little more stitches. I'll press control and add here. You don't have to be too, just that's good enough. Just do that section that is dark, come back down, and then the same thing here. So add a little more stitches in this section, and you don't have to be too close, but you have to have enough so that it's very dark in that area. And then from there we can go ahead and just continue around the face. We can probably do some of the detail here. So this part right here, I will do probably a little space out like this. And if you notice, there's like the whiskers here. So we're gonna go ahead. This you have to do only one pass. So I'm gonna try to be as precise as possible here, and come back one time. I kind of want to, let me just come back here, reverse and come back this way, and then I need to come back here again. I just want to make sure that I cover this, but I don't want to have too many jumps. Come back here. There is some more detail here that you can add. Maybe this details here. And this, again, I'm doing it with the control press. Let's go back again to the original shape of the face. We go around. You see there's a little more dense area here, so we can do that. And then same thing here in the face. And then go around. We can probably start coming at this section here and doing the detail for that. Now that we're here, we can do the whiskers, one pass. And I would like to do the mouth as well, so we don't have to. So let's come all the way up and then down, back to the other side. If you notice, I'm putting a little more details on the stitches here. Just try to be careful you don't put too many. Come back, then go up and back down to where we initially entered the part of the design. Let's go to the next whisker and try to be as close as possible to the line. let's come back to this one now. So those ones that I'm putting in between to go from one to the other one, those are not going to show too much, but it's important that you have, you know, that you have in there, so you don't have to do a trim. I'm gonna reverse the stitches here because I want to come back and go up and continue with the rest of the design. So we're gonna do now the eyes. When we get here again, we're gonna release the control and we're gonna try to go around the eye to create the circumference shape. Once we've done with that, we can also do this part here. And we can probably do this part. No, I'm gonna reverse, that's not working. So press the control here and then you start adding stitches here in the eyes. We're almost done, guys. I'm probably adding more stitches than what I need. I just want to make sure that you can see clearly how this is gonna turn out. Come back up here and keep adding more stitches. Try not to add too many. So if you notice right now, the red and the green points are at the same location. That's an indication that it's going to start and it's going to end at the same place, but we haven't finished the design. So let's come back here. I'm going to jump here and I'm going to do this part of the face. Probably jump to this side and then do it as well, this one. Right here. The nose. And let's start doing this part right here. And the idea here in the sketching is that you don't have to trim. It's only one single design, and that's what we're looking at here. And this is not going to be a perfect, what you're seeing here is not going to be, perfect lines, but it's just an exercise so you have an idea of how this is going to solve. So now from here, let's see what's the best way to get out of here. We can just come back here. And then just continue in this part of the nose. Come back here. When we get here, we need to do this part, so let's go ahead and take care of that as well. I will probably do 2 passes. You don't want to go too crazy here. Come back this way. Maybe go another time around the nose. And then we can get out of this section by probably going this way. And if you want to add a little more details here, that's fine. So let's go ahead and do that. I didn't do it on the other side, but this is just practice. So now what we have to do is do the bottom part. That will be very easy because it doesn't have. So let's remember, if you press the enter, release the control, press the space key, and then with the mouse just drag down. So we're gonna go ahead and press control again. We're gonna do this section, the outline. Come back to that position, maybe do these details here because it's a little darker, so we want to add a little more stitches. Come back to the top, add a little more detail here, and then continue the same way here. So if we come here, this doesn't have to be, it's just an area that's going to have more stitches and it's going to give a contrast on the color. And actually I will put more stitches. Let me come back here close to the bottom part of the face, so that way you have a contrast in the shading. And then come back, try to just have a little more close together this section. Alright, almost done. So you can practice, and you know, the first time you probably won't see, sorry guys, that space is not consistent. You can do it a few times until you get a design that you might be happy with the results. But the idea here is that you kind of have a representation, on the screen of how the design is going to look like, and then you stitch it out, and then you see the final result. That way you can make some changes and come back again and do it. Okay, so now we have completed basically the whole thing. I'm just going to go around the whole design, just the edges, one time, and I think I just need to do it on the part of the face and the ears maybe, because pretty much everything else was completed. So press the control key at this moment, and let's just go around the face. Try to make sure you follow those previous points. You can do a straight line here, and then just go around just the edges. Okay, so as long as you are close, let me just bring this to the top, press control, go back one time, sorry guys, keep going up. Alright, so we're almost done. Let's go back here. We missed this section of the ear, so let's go ahead and take care of that right now. We're just gonna go back down and come back up. And we're gonna finish right where we started the design, which is on the opposite side, on the left side of the ear. Alright. Let's keep going. And then, I will show you once we complete this. We take it right now, we're on a scale of 1 to 6, or 6 to 1, sorry. But we will take it to a scale of 1 to 1, a realistic scale, so you kind of have an idea how it's going to look. So right here, actually let me go back down, because this part of the face, I think we didn't cover. So let's go ahead and do that. And just remember, if you make a mistake, just press the delete button, and it will reverse the last stitch that you had. Let's just do one more pass in this section, because you have to see the contrast between the face and the body. So let's go back again, and we're gonna finish right where we started, where the green point is. So right there, click. You can now press the right button to generate the stitches, or you can press enter, and then now click, and that's basically the design. So if you notice, let's turn, if you see this button that says 3D, let's turn it off. This is kind of like how the stitches are going to look like. I'm going to also go ahead, and if you see these two buttons, the top one will hide the image, the bottom will hide the stitches. So I just want to hide the image for now, so you kind of have an idea of how this looks like. And then we're in a scale 1 to 6, so if you want to go to a smaller scale, you can press either 1 for 1 to 1 or 3 for 1 to 3. So let's press number 3, or you can do it from the zoom. So if you press zoom, you can press 3 to 1, or you can press the number 3 on your keyboard, and it will take you. So this is the points that you put, and just keep in mind that those traces lines are going to be filled with stitches. So if you go ahead and disable the 3D mode, turn it on, now you're going to see the stitches, but this is not the realistic view. Let's take it back to 1. This is actually going to be how it's going to look like. And just pay close attention to this image here, because it's going to be a little different to when we saw it out. So let's move it a little bit to the left. I want it to be in the center. You can also go right here on the utility, and then you press the option that says centering hoop, so that makes sure that the design center. If you come over to the right, you see here, this is called the object view. You have the actual design here, you have the image, the JPEG image that we used to trace, and we have right here one single pass on the whole design. So you can also simulate, let me bring this back to the scale of 3. You can simulate how this is going to stitch out. So if you go ahead and press right here where it says Stitch Simulator, and then press Start, it will start tracing, right? You can also increase the speed and see how this is going to stitch. So it's doing it kind of fast, doing the eye, the face, and the rest of the body, and then it's going to do completely a layout around the whole design and stop, right? So that's pretty much it, the part that I wanted to show you on the digitizing. Once again, this is a sketch, a very easy exercise, just so you kind of play with the points, the distance that you put it. If you notice on the property selection or the object selection box, if you click on the design, you have here the stitches property. So we're using a 2.5 length that stay with the rules that we stated in the beginning of the video, and then we're doing a single stitch around the whole design. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish right now, and then just look for the second part of this video, which is gonna be the embroidering. So we're gonna take this design, put it in a USB drive, and I'm gonna transfer it to the Brother SE600, where I'm gonna stitch it out. If you notice on the right side corner, it says it has 1,120 stitches. This is probably like 3 minutes, 2-3 minutes stitch on the machine. I'm gonna use one color, black, just like this. So look for the second part of this video. This is gonna be, as I mentioned before, a series of many videos. One video every week. I will be posting 2 videos. The first video is gonna be something like what we did today. Maybe not too much into detail, because once you get familiar with the tools, I won't start too much. I'll just start doing it and explain what I'm doing. But it's gonna be the digitizing on the software using a particular tool, and then once that's complete, we do a second part of the video doing the stitching on the embroidery machine. So thank you very much for watching. Just make sure to subscribe, press the notification button for future content, and like this video. Thank you very much.